Yo, guys. Jim here from DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, and here is part 2 of my look at my 15 game collection. First game up is going to be Ken, Austin, Blackjack, and Poker. Yeah. Anyway, this is a 1983 release, and it comes with 2 games on it, Blackjack and Poker. Okay. Basically, the gameplay is you can set your own pots and you can play blackjack or you can play some form of poker. It isn't Hold'em, so it was before that craze. Anyway, yeah, this game's boring as hell. Graphically, you get to see Ken Uston with his sweet porn stash, and he deals cards to you, and he'll kind of talk to you. Sound-wise, you get a little jingle before, after each hand, and, before he deals, so, that's something. Oh man, this is just a boring one. It's probably fun to play with more players, but single player, it's friggin' awful. The controls, they're weird. I guess it would have been better if I had a manual and the overlays. I was kind of eventually able to figure it out, but here's one thing. I tried to go all in poker, and I put all my money in the first hand, and since I couldn't bet on, the turn, I lost the hand. So I don't know if there was a button I had to hit or something. I don't know. It wasn't worth me looking into. Anyway, the controls are okay. Again, you need stuff to fully understand what's going on. I paid 75 cents for it, and I kind of think I overpaid. There's nothing here for you unless you really, really are desperate for some blackjack and poker. So, yeah, that's about it. Stay away from this one. Next game up is Mousetrap. Originally released to arcades in 1981, this was developed by Exidy. It was ported to the ColecoVision in 1982 as a launch title, and later came out on the 2600 and the Intellivision. It's a Pac-Man clone that has walls that can be moved to trap enemies and to protect the player. The player can also turn into a dog to chase the cats around. Basically, in this game, the cats are the ghosts like in Pac-Man, and you're a mouse trying to stay away from the cats, but then you can turn into a dog and eat the cats. So, there you go. The control-wise, it actually works well with the ColecoVision controller. You use the keypad to control the walls, and, you have the 3 different colored walls, so the top 3 buttons will control which ones you move around. The actual control stick works fine, and there's also a button to activate the dog ability when you have enough energy saved up. Graphically, it's pretty simple. It's colorful, but it's one of these Pac-Man maze clones, so can't expect that much. Sound-wise, it has music going the entire time, and a couple little jingles when there's stuff flying around on screen, so it's not a bad package there. Although the one music track you do get, it's 5 seconds long and it loops over and over and over again. So it can get annoying, but it didn't bother me all that much. The sound effects are fine too. As far as, I don't know, say it's not original at all, and replayability, this is a game I had a ton of fun with. I actually think it's a great take on the Pac-Man formula, and I might like it more than just, original vanilla Pac-Man. It's so far one of my favorite games for the console, and it works well with the awful control stick, so that's something to be said there. To me, this is a must-play, must-get for the console. If you haven't played it before, you definitely owe it to yourself to track it down for whatever console and give it a go. Next game up is Omega Race. This was originally released to arcades in 1981 by Midway. This was a pretty popular game at the time, and it got a ton of ports, including a port to the 2600 with a special controller adapter, the VIC-20, the Commodore 64, and this version to the ColecoVision back in 1983. The gimmick of the game is you get to basically destroy all the enemies on screen. Nothing new there, but you're in these confined spaces with 3 different layouts, and you can bounce off the walls. So, touching the walls won't kill you, it'll just send you out in some crazy direction. It's a fast-moving game, and you can really lose control of your character quick. As the control goes, 1 button fires, and 1 button propels you. I tried using it at first with the ColecoVision controller, and I was having a lot of problems. Maybe the buttons are too mushy, maybe it's just not optimized for it, so I found it works way better with the roller controller. The roller lets you move around easier, and the fast action buttons are just a godsend when it comes to a game like this. I can see why this game's popular, but to be honest, it really wasn't a game that called out to me. It's okay, but I just found that you lost control of your player way too fast, and it just led to a lot of quick, frustrating deaths. Probably just me, maybe I should have spent more time with it, but I don't know, it didn't grab me. Graphically, it's really, really simple. Not a lot to say here. The sound, you get this little music in the background, it gets more and more intense as the time goes on, so that's a nice touch, and the sound effects are very reminiscent of the time. While this isn't exactly my favorite game for the console, I'd say if you already had a roller controller and you find it in the wild for cheap, you can do a lot worse. I would say this should be a good pickup for you. Next on the list is Pepper 2. Originally released to arcades in 1982, this was another one that was developed by Exidy, the guys who did Mousetrap. The ColecoVision is the only home port. The gimmick of the game is that you're going around zipping up all these different mazes and sections to fill up these maps. You can freely roam between the mazes, which is pretty cool. So if you're getting surrounded by enemies on one map, you can try and quick escape to another one and then come back. One thing to note though, if you try to exit the first map, that's kind of a suicide and it kills you. So that's a goofy little touch. As far as graphics go, it's really simple. Not to say that it's bad, it's not going to blow you away. Music, it's a nice package. You have music that goes all throughout the levels, you have that jingle, that classical jingle that I can't put my finger on right before each level starts, and the sound effects get the job done as well. As far as control goes, this game works perfectly fine. It's extremely simple. You don't use any action buttons and you only use the stick. But surprisingly, it's very responsive, so that's, concerning the stick itself, that says a lot about how well this game was programmed. I just found this game to be nice and fun. It gives you a good challenge, you have the different difficulty settings so you can make the enemies even more intense. It definitely comes as a recommended title. I think it's unique. I don't remember many Pac-Man or just maze clones like this out there at the time, so this is one I would definitely say track down, and it's a great exclusive to have to the ColecoVision library because who's going to find a Pepper 2 arcade unit? Let's be honest here. Overall, this is my only complete in-box game on the ColecoVision, and I'm kind of glad it's complete because it's cool to have the manual just to explain the little nuances of the game. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point. Pick this one up. Last game for this video is going to be one of my all-time favorites. It's Riverine. Designed by Carol Shaw, this was developed by Activision and originally came out on the 2600 in 1982. As I mentioned in my Atari video, this had a lot of ports, including the 5200, the Intellivision, the ColecoVision, the Atari 8-bit computer line, the ZX Spectrum, and even had a version come out for Microsoft Windows of all things. For those of you who don't know, it's a vertically scrolling shooter, and the point is to survive as long as you can and get as many points as you can while doing it. Also, there's a fuel gauge which you have to make sure that you keep full, because if you run out of fuel, you explode. Graphically, I don't know, I'm not crazy about it. Something about it just doesn't seem as bright and vibrant as it did on the 2600. The colors are a little more muted, like your plane's black this time, and the color schemes on the ships and other enemies just seems a lot more dull than it did before. Also, as far as detail goes, it's not like it made that big a leap to explain the lack of color, so I don't know, it's not really appealing to me. Sound effects wise, you get the same ones here for the most part that you get from Atari. They're tweaked a little bit, but they still get the same job done. And again, there's no music. As far as the control goes, again, there's slight tweaks that I'm not crazy about. In the 2600 version, you didn't need to use that much momentum, I guess, to go forward or to speed up or to slow down. Where in this one, you really have to hold up or down for a while before it starts to do either of those actions. It's kind of weird. Also, moving left or right's okay, and the shooting could be better with the mushy buttons on the controller, so honestly, I played this one with the Sega Genesis controller. It seems to just work out a lot better. Oh, one quick little note. You know you're playing with a good game when it's got a special, super secret special opening screen instead of just standard ColecoVision in the name of the game. So, yeah, Riverine. Overall, I just prefer the 2600 version more. Maybe it's because I grew up with it more, maybe it's because it's the one I play a hell of a lot more. But this one, I'll give this one credit. It scrolls incredibly smooth for a ColecoVision game. And as far as, comparing it to the other ports, this and the 5200 version are basically exactly the same. I just guess this one has a slightly better controller than the 5200, so between the two, I'd say this is the one to get. Actually, outside of the 2600, I'd probably say this is the one to get. Anyway, Riverine makes any game library better, so if you have a ColecoVision and you don't have Riverine, go out and get it. Alright guys, that'll do it for this video. Make sure to check back in next week as I finish up my look at my ColecoVision collection. Until next time guys, cheers.